He's one of the most celebrated directors working today, whose new original feature film, Sinners, is making a killing at the box office. Hi, my name's Zach, and today we're going to rank all 5 of Ryan Coogler's feature films from the worst to the best. Before we get started, like many of you, I started this YouTube channel because I could not go watch a movie without needing to talk about it afterwards. And if that sounds like you, you're in the right place. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, while I'm talking, I want this to be a dialogue, a conversation going on between me and you. So make sure that you leave your thoughts and opinions on all of Ryan Coogler's feature films down in the comment section below. Give me your ranking. I'd love to see your list. With all that out of the way, let's kick it off with number 5. And in last place is going to be Ryan Coogler's first feature, Fruitvale Station. And compared to the other movies on this list from Ryan Coogler, this is a very different kind of movie that he did as his first feature film, as this is based on a real-life tragic story of a man named Oscar Grant, who in 2009 had his life unjustly taken from him from a police officer who brutally killed him during police brutality at the Fruitvale District BART station in Oakland, California. And Ryan Coogler does a really great job in the last half hour or so in this movie setting up that tragic event, really making you feel just the injustice that was done. When you're watching the film, the first hour of it is really just following Oscar Grant through his mundane, ordinary life as he's coming off of parole. He's trying to get his life together. It's a real slice of life kind of movie that not too much feels like it happens in the first hour. You've got a great performance going on here by Michael B. Jordan, who just his screen presence alone is enough to keep you compelled through the majority of the film in that first hour. But when it gets to that last act, when it gets to that final 30 minutes where it depicts the events that went on in the Fruitvale District in Oakland, California to Oscar Grant, where he lost his life, Ryan Coogler really depicts and captures the injustice that went on there, the anger that comes from you as you watch this sequence go down, as you see what led to this man losing his life in such an unjust way. It really does boil the righteous anger inside of you. The fact that the police officer who committed this horrible event also only served 11 months just adds to the anger and fuels the fire in you as you watch the end of this film. It's a very, very powerful last 20 minutes that had me tearing up by the end of it, which I was not expecting because, in all honesty, the first hour of this film, while I liked Michael B. Jordan, while I enjoyed his performance, it wasn't really that interesting to me. It wasn't all that compelling. And granted, I went into this movie completely cold, completely blind. I didn't really know what it was about. I didn't know what the based on a true story meant. I didn't know what the story was when I hit play. So it hit me like a ton of bricks when it got to the final part of the film. But up until then, while I thought the direction was still very good, the performances were still very good, the story, the narrative, the slice of life kind of story that it wasn't all that interesting to me until we got to that powerful ending. So for that reason, while I think Fruitvale Station is still a pretty good movie, it's going to be at the last spot of this list. At number 4, we're going with Wakanda Forever. And just for some clear context here, there's a pretty significant jump from Fruitvale Station to Wakanda Forever for me, where I love Wakanda Forever. I really enjoy this movie. In fact, if I was doing this list back in 2022 when Wakanda Forever came out, it would have probably been in my number 3 or at that time number 2 slot on this list. But when it comes to Wakanda Forever, especially when it first came out in 2022, it was such an emotionally resonant film because we had just lost Chadwick Boseman, and they took this movie, they made the decision to take this movie and make it a tribute and homage to Chadwick Boseman and his legacy. He left such an impact, and this movie makes you feel the impact that Chadwick Boseman left behind. Also, this movie had near astronomical challenges against it, where it's really impressive that Wakanda Forever turned out as well as it did, and it's a testament to Ryan Coogler as a director, because not only are you dealing with the loss of the star of the film, of your Black Panther movie, the Black Panther is not there, And you've got the pandemic going on, so there's restrictions happening on the set in the filmmaking process where you can't make the movie the way that you used to make the movies. So much was hurled at this movie to make it just this uphill battle. And the final product is really impressive considering all that they went through. I love the way that this film takes the death of T'Challa and uses that to bring the beating heart of Wakanda even more to life, give it more challenges. The supporting cast that was in Black Panther, they all have to step up in their roles. Shuri especially has to become the lead in this film, and I feel like everyone steps up to the plate and does a fantastic job. But because it's so emotional, because you feel the devastating loss not just the characters but the actors themselves are feeling, it's a very poignant, it's a very devastating movie to sit through. It does feel like you're attending a funeral in a lot of aspects, but even with all that, they dive deeper into Wakanda, that I dive deeper into these supporting characters. I personally think that the action is bigger and better in this film than in the previous film. The things that hold Wakanda Forever back from being in the number 3 spot, where I probably would have put it in 2022, is because as time has gone on, as we've moved further away from Chadwick Boseman's death, even though it's still a tragedy to think about and to look back on, Wakanda Forever, when you go back and revisit those feelings, when they're not as fresh as they were in 2022, it can be a pretty depressing watch in some ways. Also, I don't think that the character of Namor is that interesting or compelling to me personally. And the more I go back to Wakanda Forever, every time the Ironheart subplot character pops up in this film, it just feels like they're trying to squeeze a backdoor pilot into a series that, as of this recording, isn't supposed to come out for like another 2 months. It feels like they're squishing that backdoor pilot into an already pretty overstuffed movie. And while I commend the actress of Shuri, Letitia Wright, for stepping up to the plate, for taking over the leading character role where she was never supposed to have it. She was always just supposed to be a fantastic supporting character. Shuri's just not as interesting. Shuri's just not as that compelling in this film. And she doesn't have the presence on screen like Chadwick Boseman had in Black Panther as T'Challa. It's just an impossible feat for her to reach. And it's not on the actor's fault. I think the actor does a great job. It's just not Chadwick Boseman. So for that reason, I still love Wakanda Forever. I still think it's a fantastically made movie. I still like to go back and rewatch it. But as time goes on and we move further away from being in those feelings of first losing Chadwick Boseman, it's gone down in my ranking just a little bit. Still a great film. Which brings us to number 3, and that's going to be the first Black Panther film. And this is a film that's kind of grown on me more and more over the years, where when I first watched it, I really liked it. I just think that what all the hype and all the love for it was really all about at that time. But as I go back and revisit this one more and more, what Coogler was able to do with this film just starts to stand out more and more every time I go back and rewatch it. Where Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther, T'Challa, was introduced in Civil War, but they really let Coogler create his own vision, do his own thing with it for this film, where he creates Wakanda, he fleshes out Wakanda with not just the set designs, not just the production and the costuming, but with the characters and the supporting cast that he has in this film. It just makes this nation of Wakanda feel like a real place, feels like a living, breathing organism of an environment, with Chadwick Boseman in the lead here as T'Challa, who I think is a good lead, especially now that time has passed and we've lost Chadwick. Going back to revisit this one, it is a really special thing to get to watch Chadwick Boseman command the screen, bring his presence there as T'Challa. I think that the supporting cast around T'Challa is what elevates T'Challa. I love the supporting cast in this film, from Letitia Wright to Lupita Nyong'o. All of them, I think, Angela Bassett, they just all do such a great job of uplifting this guy to raise him up to that pedestal of King of Wakanda. With that as well, you've got Michael B. Jordan in here, his second team up, or his third team up, I should say, with Ryan Coogler coming in here as Killmonger, who is just such a compelling and deep character, especially for a villain. in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where his mission, what he's trying to do, is so much more poignant and so much more nuanced than many other villains that we get in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where there are times where you get T'Challa's point of view, you get Killmonger's point of view, and there are times where Killmonger's point of view, it makes sense. He's got some clear points. Just the way he's going about it is the wrong way to go about it. And that's just such compelling writing and such compelling direction that Ryan Coogler put into this film, which makes the conflict between Killmonger and T'Challa that much more interesting. I do think also, compared to Wakanda Forever, because they didn't have all the challenges that film had, the narrative here is a lot more tighter. It's a lot more focused. You can see the clear vision of what Ryan Coogler is trying to do, where he's trying to go with this film, and he accomplishes it in tenfold. The action in here, I think, is pretty good, but there is some wonky CGI elements that people have talked about for years, especially at the end battle between T'Challa and Killmonger, that, you know, they don't look the greatest. They look a little bit dated, a little bit like video game cutscenes. Even back when this film came out, they looked like that. But the characters, the depth of the characters, the depth of the story, the depth of the narrative, it's so much more powerful. It's so much greater. The greatness outweighs the weaknesses, for sure, of Black Panther. It's a film that I had to grow on. I really enjoy the film, though, and I think that just as time has gone on, it's gotten a little bit better for me. So it comes in at number 3. And before I move on to our runner-up, I do want to just clarify with context here that 1 and 2 are very close. I mean, there are days where I think number 2 could be number 1 and number 1 would be number 2. It just kind of came down to me. What am I realistically more likely to watch over and over again in the years to come? What do I personally gravitate towards the most? And that's how I determined what's coming in number 2, number 1. With that said, let's get to number 2. And for our runner-up, we're going to go with the latest of Ryan Coogler's Sinners. And don't get me wrong, this is a phenomenal film that I'm so glad I was finally making it out to the theater and was able to catch this one. Ryan Coogler does so much in this film that on paper feels like it shouldn't work. My wife, when I got back from the theater, she asked me, "What did you think of the film? What's it about? Tell me what it's about." And I'm like, well, it's these mob brothers that come back, but there's also this music element celebrating the blues with the mixture of all that. There's this drama going on. There's some love triangles. Also, you've got vampires in here. And she was looking at me like, this sounds like a mess. And as I was saying the story, I was like, yeah, this sounds like it should have been a mess. But Ryan Coogler was able to bring all of these elements, all of these absurd ideas to the screen in a way that not only makes them make sense, not only makes them feel poignant, but is just flat out awesome. Michael B. Jordan in here, once again, playing 2 characters, these twin brothers. He's phenomenal in the role of both these brothers, making them feel distinctly unique to each other, but at the same time, making them have this brotherly love that you really buy into, that is the heart of the film at the end of it. You've got Haley Steinfeld in here also doing a great job. The tribute of the blues of the Southern South that Ryan Coogler incorporates into this was an element that I had no idea about going into Sinners, and was one of the more pleasant surprises of the film. The music in here is fantastic, and the way that they incorporate the music into this vampire tale is really quite unique and brilliant, and was just kind of awe-inspiring. The way that Ryan Coogler not only introduced the story in that way, but also visually displayed that story throughout the narrative is something I feel like I can honestly say I've never seen in cinema done before, and it was really quite innovative. On top of that, this is a vampire movie. This is about these characters trying to survive a night from vampires. And what Ryan Coogler does with this film that's so unique and so interesting is he really takes his time to set up these characters. For the first, I would say, like 45 minutes to an hour, there's nothing that really indicates that vampires are about to show up in this film. Ryan Coogler just takes such care in these characters, building them up, making you care about them. And as the day goes on, and as we meet more and more of these characters and understand their backstories and understand how all their relationships work, when the sun finally goes down and the vampires do come out, and now we've got our characters trying to survive a night from these vampires, It's so much more compelling. It's so much more interesting because Ryan Coogler has gotten us to love and care about these characters. On top of that, the vampire action in here is so much fun. It's so gory. It's so bloody. But there's also a nice sense of levity and humor that Ryan Coogler sprinkles in there that makes this just such a fun ride. If I had a couple nitpicks to pick apart with Sinners, it would be, I think it's a little bit long. I would have liked a little bit more action here and there. And the opening sequence of the film, without giving anything away, it does tell you that one of these characters is going to survive. And I just kind of felt like if that first part, if that opening part wasn't in the film and they started the movie after where that opening part ends off, it would have been a little bit more suspenseful and there would have been a bit more tension for me personally for the rest of the film if I had not known that that one character was going to make it out alive. Other than that, Sinners is a fantastic film. Like I said, give it a couple more years, it could age like wine. It might take the #1 spot, but as it is for now, comes in as a runner-up at #2. Which is going to bring us to our #1, and for me, that's going to be Creed. And when it comes to IPs, a lot of people complain we don't get enough original films, and I'm sure a lot of people would have Sinners over Creed in their own personal ranking. Tell me down below in the comments if that's you. But for me, Creed is what I'm going to gravitate and resonate more towards than Sinners, just because the vampire flicks aren't generally my thing all the time. But Rocky, the Rocky franchise, is something I got introduced to with my dad, watched them with my dad, like a lot of people grew up. So I love the Rocky character. I love the Rocky franchise. And then you got Ryan Coogler coming in here, taking over the franchise, which Stallone was basically done with. He did not want to do another Rocky. Ryan Coogler had to convince Stallone to come back to Creed and do this film. And am I so glad that Ryan Coogler was able to do that? And I'm sure Stallone was too, because he directed Stallone to an Academy Award nomination with this film. Ryan Coogler takes the Rocky franchise in a completely fresh and new, unique direction by introducing us to Adonis Creed, his, again, second team up with Michael B. Jordan here in the lead role. Coming in here, being mentored by Rocky. The relationship that they have is just so sweet, and I love the way that Ryan Coogler incorporates the death of Apollo Creed to not only influence and create the character of Adonis Creed, but how it also influences and affects Rocky, not just in the first Creed, but in the entire Creed trilogy, or I guess the first two movies, technically. It captures the heart of what the Rocky franchise has always had, with some pretty impressive takes in the ring. I honestly would say that everything Ryan Coogler does in Creed with the boxing sequences is better than anything they were able to do really in the Rocky franchise, just with technology and innovative and all that kind of stuff. I love Tessa Thompson in here with Michael B. Jordan as the love interest. It does kind of follow the Rocky formula pretty closely with the Adonis Creed character, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This was able to not only bring the Rocky franchise back, not only bring Stallone back to the franchise, but Ryan Coogler truly made this franchise, at least this first film, his own, with a compelling character, a compelling story, drama, suspense, all the stuff that you want from the Rocky franchise. He brings here and does it in some of the best ways the franchise has ever been done. And it's able to be a film that completely lives up to the legacy of the Rocky films, where it fits into the saga perfectly. It's a brilliant film, brilliantly directed by Ryan Coogler. It is still going on today with more Creed installments to come, because I know I'll be watching this film for many years to come, with Rocky rewatches, Creed rewatches. I love the way that it is woven into this tapestry of the Rocky legacy, and it comes in as my #1 favorite Ryan Coogler film. If you enjoyed this video, I got more director rankings in that playlist right over there that you can check out. Also, right down there is the most recently uploaded video to the channel. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. We talk about movies on here all the time. We'd love to have you join us. Don't just watch movies, guys. Talk movies. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.